to Eddie Go Fly. So today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about this guy. This here is a Great Planes JU-87 Stuka. It's quite a mouthful. So this plane, when it was still available, it's discontinued now. When it was still available, it was an ARF, which stands for Almost Ready to Fly. So in terms of this one, I actually got this thing on a trade from somebody. I had a Super Stearman airframe that I didn't need. I thought I would, but I didn't. So I traded that away to a friend who traded me this ready to fly. It had a Magnum XL FS91 engine on it. And, you know, a 91 four-stroke engine is good, but I personally haven't had any luck with Magnum engines. I haven't tried their two-strokes, but their four-strokes haven't impressed me too much, at least. So the guy I got it from also was not having good luck with that engine. This engine. So I actually just recently did another trade with somebody, because I like trading. I had a set of retractable landing gear that this guy could use, and he had the same engine as this, but OS's version. And this one, Magnum's actually the copycat brand of OS. So I thought it was great. It was a great idea. This OS 91, which is now on this plane, was a direct swap. Since this is a replica engine of what I put on it, it was a direct swap. I didn't have to cut the cowl up. I didn't have to open up any more holes for the exhaust because it stuck out a different place, or the needle valve. Nothing. It just swapped in and it worked out great. So some of the problems I had with this engine, I had this thing out at the field probably 2 weeks ago, and I had it up on the test stand, and that's when I really started running into my issues. Just like the guy I got it from, he could not get it to idle. And I've had my fair share of nitro engines, two-stroke, four-stroke, gas, nitro, you name it, I've had it. And, you know, I've never really had too much issues tuning an engine. But this thing, I had it on the test stand, and, you know, any guy that was at the club that was available was huddled around this thing. Had someone on the high-speed needle, someone on the low-speed needle, someone on the throttle stick, someone holding the starter, someone putting the glow igniter on and off the engine. You know, we were just, it was a team effort, and it stumped everyone. I don't know what is wrong with this engine, but, you know, before you say it, I had this lid off of here and got the tappets out, got my feeler gauge, set them perfect. I cleaned out my needle valves, got the carb cleaner out. I did everything in the book with this one. Went to Mr. McIntyre's YouTube page and watched some of his videos on this engine, did every last thing I could with no luck. I got my hands on this OS engine. It's a OS FS91 surpass. It's the 91 that has the black cap on it over the valves, if you know what I'm talking about. So, like I said, it was a direct swap. My buddy was coming over tonight, and he said, "Hey Ed, I'll be there at 7. Well, 6:30 rolls around, and I pull the cowl off, and, you know, I take the engine off, and the OS went right on. It's just like I was just talking about. It popped right on, and there wasn't a worry about it. So, haven't flown this plane yet. That time I was out there with the Magnum trying to tune it, that was it. That was the first time I had it out at the field. I could tell by looking at it, you know, it's got dings here and there. It had some stains from nitro fuel, so I could tell it's been in the air before. Someone has flown this plane. And I think that's one of the great things about this hobby is when someone loses interest in a plane, it gets into the next guy's hands like me, and I'm just as excited as the guy who built it when he bought it brand new. So I look forward to getting out at the field. Unfortunately, it's cold outside. It was 20 degrees this morning and it's starting to snow, so I don't know how many flying videos I'll be putting out in the near future, but I will be talking about a lot of builds like this one. So a little bit more about this plane. It has Hitec standard servos in it. Pretty sure they're the 435 ball bearings, 425 ball bearing, those servos on all control surfaces and also the flaps. The battery I have installed is the Spectrum Life battery, 6.6 volt. I used to use NiCad and NIMH batteries exclusively. I've since then, transitioned into Life battery, 6.6 volts. They just charge faster, they hold the charge longer, they don't drain as fast. I'm pretty sure you get more cycles. Don't quote me on that, but I think you might get more charge cycles too. They're safer, I don't see a downfall to them. They're good batteries. Any brand Life battery. So that's battery, servos. My receiver, I use Futaba. I did recently buy a Spectrum DX9. I have not used it yet. I hope to use that on a FMS T47 that I have. And that one. So I will use that, but for now I use Futaba. I got a boatload of Futaba receivers. The one that is in here is a R2008SB, and it's their 8-channel S-bus receiver. I don't use the S-bus. I haven't gotten into it. Maybe I'll do it down the line, but right now I just use the 8 channels with the SFHSS protocol. So with that said, the radio I use is a T14SG, 14SG by Futaba. It's a 2.4 gigahertz. It does the fast and FHSS protocols. So it's a great all-around radio. I could post a link of all that stuff in the description. You can see everything I'm using on this plane. Unfortunately, since I'm a nitro guy, I love engines. I love everything engines. A lot of this stuff is discontinued, hard to come by, and they come and go out of my place, so I ain't get my enjoyment. I pass it on to the next guy. So I'll do my best to get you guys links and everything to what I use, but I'll probably end up just getting you close. This OS engine they don't make anymore. They make a 95 now, the 95V, and that's an even better engine. It's the same thing, but better, more powerful, lighter, and that's how these engines go, just like electric stuff. They get smaller and they get more powerful. So this plane, when I got this plane, I thought it was ugly as all could be. I was looking at it, I didn't understand the gap that is between the wing, the ailerons, the flaps. I didn't understand, the seagull, the gull wing design. I did not understand it, and just about everyone I know that's in this hobby that heard I got my hands on one of these was jealous, to say the least. They're like, "Oh man, a Stuka! I've always wanted one of those." But I gotta say, it's really picking up. I'm really starting to feel this plane, and I think it's going to be a great trip to the airfield. So one really cool thing about the Stuka is that it has a dive bomb siren on the actual plane. During World War II, they actually had a siren on this plane that they would turn on as they were dive bombing, just to instill fear into people who heard it. And I just think that's wicked. So I had to do something about this. This plane did not come with a siren on it out of the box, and I didn't want to mess with any speakers on the plane, just a sound bite that would play. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to actually do something to the plane that would make a noise. So I actually went into the cowl of this plane and found some whistles that I was able to use. So what I did is I went on eBay, I found a Nerf football that has the 3 whistles in it, ripped those whistles out, and epoxied them to where the air will flow through the cowl. Again, I have not flown this plane, so I do not know what to expect. I don't know if I'm going to hear this plane screaming by, whistling, or if you won't hear it over the engine and exhaust. That's to be determined. So, 2 scenarios that can happen. It either works great and I leave it as is, or I will rip those out and 3D print an actual air raid siren and run it off a LiPo battery and motor. So I think that would be the way cooler route, obviously, to have a working air raid siren inside of the cowl. There's definitely plenty of room in there. It's a real big cowl there. So I might try that, but we'll see how the whistles do. So this plane, it does need some TLC. The covering could use some tightening up. There's this little wooden gun there that is broken off and floating around in there under the canopy. So I'm not going to do anything to fix it up. I'm going to hopefully take it out to the field and fly the heck out of it. After all, if you fly nitro, you know this thing's going to be covered in goo after one flight, so I don't really see a use in making it perfect. It is what it is. It's a used plane. I got it into flying shape, so we'll see how it works. All right. Well, thank you for joining me tonight on Eddie Go Fly. I hope this video brought you some enjoyment, a little talking about this plane. I will post more about it in the future when I fly it, when I try this new engine, everything about it. I'll do a little maybe review type video on it and give you my thoughts. And if you want to get your hands on one of these, there's a ton of other manufacturers making them. I know Phoenix makes one. I believe Seagull might make one. Just got to get out there, get on the internet, search for it, and pick one up. So again, thanks for watching, and join me next time on Eddie Go Fly.